Caríssimos telespectadores, nesta atividade especial do Papo Supren, hoje estamos recebendo o Bispo William Swing, que é justamente o fundador da United Religions Initiative, que é geralmente traduzida por a função da URI, como nós em geral tratamos, não é? Que são as religiões, a iniciativa das religiões unidas. E é muito importante para nós que essa entrevista possa se desenvolver com fluência. Por isso nós vamos fazê-la em parte em inglês e os nossos telespectadores poderão assistir a legenda para que o nosso trabalho possa se desenvolver com fluência. So, am I to ask you, who is the Bishop William Swing and where is he coming from? I suppose United States, Episcopal Church?
Right.
Can you give us a general view?
Right. I was a parish priest in the Episcopal Church in West Virginia and in Washington, D.C. For 18 years. And then I was elected Bishop of California, headquartered at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco for 27 years. And during that time, I was led to found the United Religions Initiative. So I was both Bishop of California and founder of United Religions until I retired at age 70. And then I just kept on going with United Religions Initiative. But
as a retired, you have more free time for this education, so to speak, which is bigger than only one church. Am I right?
Yeah, it's really not about a church, religion. It's about grassroots people of all religions, of all tribes, and all spiritual expressions. So United Religions is more than about religions. It's about everybody.
Am I right to ask about the idea of spirituality? So.
Yes, that's the third category. The first category, we started out United Religions. And then how about indigenous tribes?
Yeah.
Because some of their spirituality is older than some of the religions.
Indeed.
So then we said, what about people who say I'm spiritual but not religious, or I'm following a spiritual, a humanitarian path? So we decided, let's open the doors wide and let everybody come in who wants to.
Well, I am coming from the Liberal Catholic Church from London in 1916, was the foundation. And the idea was not to have so dogmatic structures, even to give more free space for this spiritual manifestation of devotion, and the idea of tolerance is so important. I would like to read only one paragraph because I know you would be able to give some interpretation for us. The idea is, you must feel perfect tolerance for all and a hearty interest in the beliefs of those of another religion, just as much as in your own. For their religion is a path to the highest, just as yours is. And to help all, you must understand all. So this idea of Plato as well, that ignorance is the cause of evil, I suppose superstition is there as well. If you give a commentary for us, how to overcome these problems in so many religions in the world.
Right. maybe three things. First of all, United Religions Initiative, URI. Our first principle is that we are not a religion. The world has enough religions. What the world needs is bridges between the religions, so people can go to each other. So we are just a bridge. We're not a religion. Secondly, why are people in this religion or in that religion? Usually it's because they were born into it. So it's not a matter of sitting down and studying all the religions of the world and saying, I'll take that one. You don't make that decision.
Yes.
You just grow up naturally in your religion or in not in your religion.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a lot of people don't have religion, so that's okay too. But third, I think that there is a human beings are spiritual. You cannot keep them from being spiritual. Human beings are political, sexual, they're biological, they're also spiritual. And if somebody wants to express their spirituality or grow in their spirituality, and other people try to tamp them down and say, no, you can't do that, then it'll fester underneath. And when you take your foot off, it'll jump up and we'll have trouble. There's a basic, what is needed around religion is not more pure religion. What's needed is more respect around religion. You use the word tolerance, and that's a good word, but I think there are better words. If I'm in a room full of children who are making a lot of noise and they're driving me crazy, I can say, I love the children and I'll tolerate them, but I'm not pleased with them. I wish they'd be quiet. But beyond the word tolerance is a word respect.
Better.
And you say, I don't believe what you believe, but I respect that you believe it. And I don't have to believe what you believe, but I need to respect you as a believer in that. And then beyond that, I think even a better word would be appreciate.
Yeah.
Not only do you say, I respect you, but if you could go the next mile or the next step and say, I'd really like to know what is wonderful about your spirituality. What feeds you? Why do you...
As a way to the Supreme.
Yeah. Let me find out what is rich about your spirituality so that I can appreciate you and your spiritual journey. So tolerance, yeah. Respect, yeah. Appreciate, whoa, that gets to be good. And then finally, I think people do fall in love with each other.
Yeah, you are so correct. You see, I've seen another day a Nyaya school of India saying that if consciousness was coming only from matter as a result, then we have to have in different parts of the body different consciousness. So if we have only one in the center, and this is their argument for millennia, there must be something not exactly material, which is the other part which we generally put as spiritual or spirit
soul.
Or soul.
Right.
The name is not so important. In due fact, we are in favor of consciousness to be more neutral. But if you can, if in any way from different situations in history are trying to repress this natural, you are speaking so well, if you can develop this idea that man needs some significance to their lives or spiritual is a need.
Right. And if we create a spiritual police and say, if you believe that, we're going to arrest you and put you in jail and punish you. I mean,
it will never function.
The creator of the world created us so that we move in all directions.
Yeah.
And so all the directions have the potential of being the just right place for that person.
Yes, this idea of a variety as a big garden with different flowers.
Right.
I suppose it is always better than only one kind of a flower.
Right. And also, I read a little sentence. It's so simple, it's almost embarrassing to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But it says, the word river is not a river. So whatever a river is a big flowing something, but the word river is just a word.
It's a symbol.
It's a symbol. So if you jump back and you say, well, okay, the word God is not God.
Very important.
It is only a little 3 letters that point to something that is so beyond anybody's imagining. So when I use the word God, I only speak about a little bit of God. And when you use the word God, you're seeing something bigger, different. We shouldn't be fighting about God.
Yes, as Krishnamurti said as well, this idea of the name and the symbol, that sometimes people are trying to impose a God they have not seen.
Right, right.
So why are they fighting for such?
Right, right.
We must have some time for the spectators to...
Oh, good.
Nós temos então agora um intervalo para os nossos queridos telespectadores poderem relaxar e voltamos em breve porque a entrevista vale muito a pena. Então nós vamos dar continuidade após esse breve intervalo aqui no Papo Supren com o Bispo William Swing, e eu gostaria de fazer uma nova pergunta. One of the texts of the Theosophical Society in disfavor of different religions correlated said that once unfettered and delivered from their dead weight or dogmatic interpretation, personal names, anthropomorphic conceptions and problems sometimes even of money, the fundamental doctrines of all religions will be proved identical in their esoteric meaning, which means the heart of all religions are in some way the same. If you can give your opinion, if you think that we can find something in common to stimulate man in favor of peace.
Okay, in favor of peace is the issue, isn't it? But in the meantime, I don't know that all religions at their core teach the same thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I've not studied all religions
it's
in
not
the
so
world
easy.
in depth. I get quite lost in some religions, and I get lost in... I come from a religion that is incarnational,
Mm-hmm.
that says God is both divine and human.
Connected.
So entwined.
Yes.
Forever.
Forever.
So it's not like the body is inferior and the soul is superior. Yeah. Let's get rid of the body. We believe that God is in flesh. Mm-hmm. God is in the world. God is in the water. God is in everything. So
omnipresent.
Omnipresent. So it's not a matter of getting God away from. God chooses to be with. It's like the second book, the second chapter in Genesis. Mm-hmm. First chapter in Genesis God created everything by just speaking, and it was. The second chapter is God gets in there with his hands and starts creating. So that's incarnational. We're an incarnational religion. Other religions are different than we are.
But maybe we are invited to cooperate with the creation. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, that's right. But we have to come to terms with creation. We have to come to terms with God, and then we got to come to terms with how do we cooperate.
Can you give us an idea how the United Religions Initiative are proposing these activities of cooperation?
Yes, thank you. What we do is we provide an opportunity in values for people of all religions and tribes and spiritual traditions to come together where it's safe for them, where nobody's going to be proselytized, and we don't have worship services. We only come together for one reason, and that is to work in the community to make the communities we live in better. If people from various religions get together and start talking about doctrine,
not so easy.
We're going to be there for 14 years. Would you be quiet and let's see what we can do together?
Yeah. That's the idea of initiative, isn't it?
Yeah, get action.
Yeah.
What we find is that we're not trying to get people to be, we're not interested in salvation. We're interested in civilization.
Very good.
The world needs to have religious people stop fighting each other and start cooperating with each other to make the world better. Civil society, make it better. And while you're working, then you get to know Muslim, you get to know Jews, you get to know, but you don't get to know them by arguing about theology. You get to know them by working on projects together.
You see, the Planetary Union is very worried about the problem of weapons in the world. We have $1 million per weapon spent in the world per minute, and 40,000 children are going to death for starvation or subnutrition, which is almost the same. And so, if we make the calculation, $36,000 are spending weapons for each children coming to death from starvation. So something must be done because what's the origin of this violence? And I suppose one of the things is we must have more interrelation between different cultures and religions. So any initiative in this way will uplift the situation, even socially speaking. If you can give some examples of the activities you have.
Well, let me say, not only about United Religions Initiative, but let's say you've got Russia over here and you've got the United States over here, and between them you have 90% of all the nuclear weapons in the world. So how do we make the world better? Do we sit around and say, well let's pray for Putin and pray for Trump? Well, that's good. They need that. That's good. But why don't we get the scientists from Russia to talk to the scientists in America? Why don't we get the Russian Orthodox leaders talk to the American church and Muslim and Jewish leaders? Why don't we have citizen-to-citizen exchanges? What about student exchanges? The more we weave together the two societies, the better chance we have of making it in the long run, because we won't want to drop our bombs on our friends. So the issue is, how do you, and this happens. The United States and Russia have had wonderful relationships ever since the end of the Cold War and the end of the Soviet Union. We've reduced the number of warheads 80%. And no nuclear weapon has gone off in the last 74 years. So what's going on here? Well, it's not because Putin is sitting over there and Trump is over here. It's because the people get together. They find each other. And the children, the dancers, the musicians, you got to...
Even the scientists.
Scientists, you have to sew the tissue. If there's no tissue, there's no body. So you got to create tissue to create body.
Bridges, as
bridges, right.
I like the idea.
So that's what we're about. We do little things. We do big things. We don't sit at headquarters and give people orders about what to do. We sit at headquarters and say, these are the values. Go out and do what you think you ought to do. So they have to self-realize, they have to self-fund, self-govern, and they pick out their own thing. So some of them go do blood banks, some clean rivers, some work with orphan children off the street, some create a musical band between Israelis and Palestinians so that they get together around music and make peace around music instead of sitting around arguing all the time. So we go off in a million different directions. And by the way, we're in 109 countries. And we have over 1 million people. And we impact more than 50 million people every day. And we have offices all over the world. So this is not a small thing. This is a big thing.
Yeah. I once seen Dr. Ravi Ravindra, which was in the Science of Religion around in Canada. And he said that there are more difference between Mother Teresa of Calcutta and Al Capone, though they may consider Christians, than from Mother Teresa and Shankara, Buddha, Krishna. So the idea is that the level we have, so to speak, in a vertical level, can be a bigger difference than the special horizontal distinctions, which sometimes are even geographic. So if we can give some explanation to people, then the essence of spirituality is this love comprehension. I suppose this is part of all this work in favor of peace. I was so interested in the principles of your institution. If you can give us some idea of the main ones.
Right. May I say a few words first?
Of course.
We did not know how to write a charter with a preamble, purpose, and principles, and an organizational design. We didn't know how to do that. So I called up the man who invented the Visa card. The Visa card? His name is D. Hock. And I said, what you did with banking, could we do with religion? So that people all over the world will use this as a way of exchanging value. And he said, yeah, we could do that. But you'll have to sit in a room with me for 3 years to figure that out. So we did. So wait a minute, and your question again?
The first.
The what?
First principle.
Oh, the first principle. Yeah, first principle is United Religions is not a religion. It's a bridge-building organization. And then we have a lot to do with the earth and the environment. The religions of the world can't agree on hardly anything, but they can agree that life depends on the earth.
Yes.
And nurturing the earth for this generation and for other generations has to be central. We also have a principle that says equal participation of women and men.
Yeah, very
When
good.
you look around the world and see who are the religious leaders, they're men, by and large. But come on, half the people in the world are women. If you're ever going to if you're ever going to have peace in the world, the women are going to have to be at the table.
You are very correct,
Sure.
and it must be for all. You see, I would like to have you with this interview long time. But
I would too.
We are coming to our time here.
Right.
I will thank you so much your presence with us.
Yes.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
In these days of the centenary of the Theosophical Society. I've seen you there as well in Brazil.
I was there.
So I will give you the last idea for you to give a last message, and so our people, so to say,
Right.
goodbye.
Well, last night in Brasília, I had an opportunity to go to the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Theological Philosophical Society. And I was much impressed by the free thinking, the concern for life and the environment, the integrity of the soul and the spirit that I saw last night. So thank you for inviting me to be part of you. And I look forward to being a brother and a sister to all of you as we go forward.
Agradeço a atenção de todos e vamos dar continuidade esperando a próxima atividade do Papo Supren.